The time grid we know as August 8th to 9th has always been a magnet for events of savage purification. On August 9th, 1945, an atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, Japan, thus bringing the Second World War to its apocalyptic finale. The first National Congress of the Ku Klux Klan was also held on August 8th. August 8th, 1907 is the birthday of Edward Gein, the notorious Wisconsin ghoul whose cannibal exploits inspired the film Psycho. On August 8th, 1914, Hitler's friend Unity Mitford, the British fascist who worked for an alliance between Germany and England, was born. On August 8th, 1985, the Los Angeles Police Department first announced to a terrified public that the Night Stalker, a satanic serial killer, was haunting that city. On August 8, 1974, Richard Milhous Nixon became the first president in United States history to resign. On August 8, 1969, Disneyland in Anaheim, California, opened the doors of its popular attraction, the Haunted Mansion. Later that same evening, August 8, 1969, at another mansion in Bel Air, California, 5 persons were slain, including the film actress Sharon Tate. The next evening, August 9, 1969, the murders continued when a grocer, Lino LaBianca, and his wife were slain at their home on 3301 Waverly, formerly the residence of Walt Disney. These murders brought the 60s to an end. In that year of fear, 1969, a myth was born that continues to fascinate the world. A man named Charles Manson and other members of his family were arrested in Death Valley and brought to trial for these murders. After the 20-year barrage of books, TV movies, magazines, lies, distortions, one may well wonder, is there anything left to know? Charles Manson has been transmogrified by the electronic thaumaturgy of the mass media into a larger-than-life, erratic emblem of evil. Manson has become the favorite brand name for murder and madness, the very archetype of everything the popular mind understands as antisocial, crazy, and criminal. He is one of the last true heretics of our time. Is it possible to peer behind the monumental edifice of this Manson myth, that fiction forever frozen in time by the famous Life magazine cover of December 19th, 1969? Throughout the world, this image has become an icon, as well known as the logo of Coca-Cola or McDonald's, and indeed Manson has become the property of the corporation, a consumer product designed to satisfy an audience that loves nothing more than to be frightened, to regard its own death. It has been said that every society receives the criminal it deserves. Why and how has America conjured Manson to be public enemy number 1, to serve the need for a villain, a scapegoat, a devil, in a world that claims not to believe in devils? This tape is designed to deprogram the minds of those who are still thinking, those who have not yet been lulled into sedation by the soothing lies that surround us. For over 40 years, Manson has survived most of his life in what he calls the hallways of the always, the reform schools, jails, and prisons that have been his home and his tomb. His thought was born in the darkness of the hole of solitary confinement, apart from time, beyond the pale of society. In his cell, he created his own world and speaks his own language, where he has discovered that there is only the mind.
I bet you I'll make you be what you are. Or I'll skin your fucking ass. I'll hang you on trees. I'll do every fucking thing I can do to do just exactly what I got to do to survive, man. I live on my planet, my world, my desert, my thought.
Manson claims that the so-called straight world outside of prison is but an inverted reflection of the underworld in which he has lived. To him, the reality that presidents and law-abiding citizens accept begins in the hermetic, alternate universe of criminals, cons, and outlaws.
But Elvis Presley was only the shadow that was playing up over somebody that was dying in a hole down in Brushy Mountain, Tennessee. Or someone that was over in the solitary confinement you see what I'm saying? In other words, the real Humphrey Bogart and the real James Cagney are actors. I mean, the ones you know. The real ones, they died in here. You know, in other words, we die so that you guys can play actors. In other words, we got to be the bad guys so you guys can be the good guys, dig? But in reality, we know that you're not the good guys. That you guys are worse than we are. Dig what I'm saying? Which is acceptable because we're outlaws. I'm a reflection of, you take a little baby, you put him in the penitentiary, and you raise him up. I'm Richard Milhouse Nixon. I'm Richard Milhouse Nixon. You dig what I'm saying? But I'm him down here under the ground, man. I've had to do all the fighting while he gets up there and takes all the bows, dig? I got to carry the motherfucker while this fat sack of shit won't let me call my old lady while his old lady tells him, shut up! I start all over. We started a rebirth movement. We started the rebirth movement that Carter stole. See, you guys outside don't realize everything we do in here, they'll play off and tell you that that's them. If I dig a foundation for a house, somebody else will stand up and say, yes, this is my foundation here, and in other words, in the United States, when you're running the United States, you ain't running in nothing but con, nothing but bullshit, and nothing but devil. You're running in nothing but demon. The United States of America is the demon of the world. And I rode around and I looked and I said, this is more trouble than what I just got out of. You got now look at yourself. You got to wear that, whether you like it or not. You got to do things. You got to get up and go through all kinds of changes, whether you want to or not, doesn't matter. Your whole life is put in your paycheck. You couldn't pay me all the money in the world to do something I don't want to do. If I'm shoveling the barn and you want me to go get my bumps off, I say, no, I'm doing something right here. I'm helping this blind man. I feel better in doing what I want to do.
Is Charlie Manson crazy?
Or whatever that means. Sure, he's crazy as mad as a hatter. What difference does it make? You know, a long time ago, being crazy meant something. Nowadays, everybody's crazy. Remorse for what? You people have done everything in the world to me. Doesn't that give me equal right? I can do anything I want to you people at any time I want to, because that's what you've done to me. If you spit in my face and smack me in the mouth and throw me in solitary confinement for nothing, what do you think's gonna happen when I get out of here? Maybe I haven't done enough. I might be ashamed of that, for not doing enough, for not giving enough, for not being more perceptive, for not being aware enough, for not understanding, for being stupid.
Inner sanctity you never conquer. Never in your wildest imagination will you ever be able to conquer those chambers. Unless you get some help from a power greater than yours. And you know who that is.
Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then would have felt like I really offered society something. You've got it stuck in your brain that I murdered somebody. You don't understand me. That's your trouble. Not my fault because you don't understand me. I don't understand you either. But I don't spend my whole life trying to put the blame over on you because my cigarette didn't light or because something didn't work right. What do you want to call me a murderer for? I've never killed anyone. I don't need to kill anyone. I think it. I have it here. I don't need to live in this physical realm. I walk around in the physical realm, and I put on the faces, and I talk, and I play, and it's this big act, man. In the spiritual world is where I live. I exist in places you never even dreamed of. You talk about, this little physical realm you live in, guilty, and is he in sin? How's your courts guilty? How many people do you think you've hung on the ventilators and the nut wards and forced medication on them? You see what I'm saying? You don't have any idea what the hell's going on. If you knew what the hell was going on in your own system, then you'd say, now I see what's creating this. Society's creating it. Society's saying, we want these Rambos. We want these killers. Oh, wow, man. Look at that dude there. And you got little kids looking in the book. And what are they selling in the oh, yeah, Sears and Roebuck. Rambo from 12 to 15. Kai Karate from age 5 to 17. And you got all your kids out here doing these crazy things. Now you want to come and say, Charlie Manson's the father of our country. We're convicting you for being Jesus Christ. We're convicting you for being the devil. We're convicting you for being responsible for our actions. I'm not responsible for anyone's actions but my own actions.
If I'm here, I'm here. If I move over here, I'm still here. Move over there, I'm still there. In other words, wherever I go, I'm still there.
I've been with prostitutes and bums and winos and all my life. The street is my world. I don't pretend to go uptown and be anything fancy. I can, but I find more real in the world that I'm in than I do the tinsel. And the real world is the one I have to deal with every day, Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left. I live where there's no TV, there's no radio, there's no clocks, there's no electric lights. The girls carry water. They don't wear makeup. They have their babies by themselves. They go in the shack and squat down and have their babies. I live on the ground. I live on the earth. I lived in Hollywood, and I had all that. The Rolls Royce and the Ferrari and the pad in Beverly Hills. So I went through all that, and I seen that was a bigger prison than the one I just got out of, and I really didn't care to go back to prison. Prison doesn't begin and end at the gate. Prison is in the mind. It's locked in one world that's dead and dying, or it's open to a world that's free and alive.
It's all the mind. The mind is all. All is the mind. And you can't get hooked up with the mind until you get hooked up with the truth. And you can't get in the truth until you establish what is in the know. And being in the know is being in the truth. The meek will inherit the earth. And the kind will survive. Real concern will show through. And honesty you cannot beat. Stop cutting the children out of your life by telling them, get out the phone. Don't do this. You can't hear that. Hide this from me. Hide that from me. You got to find it sooner or later, one way or another. You did, didn't you? And you found it to be so goddamn miserable when it got to you because someone had hid it from you. That's why you got in the mess that you're in. Someone hid the truth.
All your children would come to me because they never had anybody tell them the truth.
You want to see you look in the mirror, man. You got 1,000 insecurities and 1,000,000 rules. You got rules on rules, and regulations on regulations. Then you got all your slaves locked to the dollar bill, and then you escape into the radio, and you escape into the television, and you fade away and die. But the government is only a thought in your mind that they teach you in school to keep you in line.
And I want you all to know this, that if anybody was a wizard or not a wizard, he would be wizard.
It is my sincere wish that there is some place in your heart that you can feel the spirit of the Father.
The only way you can survive, you ready? The only way you're going to survive, if you take something from the earth to give it back. You don't need a government to tell you that. You don't need a leader to tell you that. God's inside of you, and God's telling you. Everything you take from the earth, you've got to put something back. That's what's so dirty about the preacher. He's hiding that. You were told if you take 100%, you put 10% back. If you take 100 apples off the tree, plant 10. That's not hard. That's very simple. That's the key to survival of the earth. But not only do we take 1,000 apples and put nothing back, then we come with saws and chainsaw the tree down. In other words, we've just taken and taken and taken and taken, and we haven't put anything back. Because the preacher says, give me 10%. And that 10% that we give the preacher, and that tax that we pay the governors, and the president, and the government, that's what's destroying us. We're destroying ourselves. I sit here and I open up a bag of these, and I throw the paper away. And then I take a spoon of sugar and throw the paper away. And then I use a creamer, and then I throw the plastic away. And I look in the garbage can and I say, this is our life here, My garbage dump is the world, man. And we're just throwing it away. All of our resources were thrown away. And I see the cars driving by going nowhere, just taking a piece of paper across the yard for nothing. And I see all the stuff that we're doing, and I see the human beings are destroying the whole world. But I also see that God is in the human being. And I think the human being is going to straighten it out or not.